I remember when I was in a very similar situation to what you may be in right now, in a sense of some successes but nothing overly consistent, or some struggles but managing to move past them, or so sure that someone was going to give you the answer you wanted and it didn't go your way, putting countless hours into affirming, attempting visualization but having extreme struggles with it. I've been there, and I put in an awful amount of practice, and I had an awful amount of disappointments that upon learning from led to successes. And at this point, I've manifested so many amazing things like houses, money, clients, my ex back, random sums of money, can't remember if I already said that one, and tons of other things. So what I intend to do, apologies, that's my cat trying to break into the bedroom. What I intend to do with this video is to put all of my knowledge and experiences and trials and tribulations into a simple but effective guide and final video that you will ever need on manifestation. The rules or guidelines of manifestation are actually extremely simple, but we make them harder than we need to. So I'm just going to jump right in. There are two components to manifestation in any sense, and anything that you may do along your journey will fit into one of these two categories. The first one is to live in the end as dominantly and effectively as possible. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, manifestation is all about you feeding the correct story to your subconscious mind in order for it to push it out for you to experience. And by correct story, we mean what you desire to be true as though it was already true. So thinking as though you are in that relationship right now. Thinking as though you have that job right now. Thinking as though that random sum of money is in your pocket, your wallet, your bank right now. And through repetitively thinking these thoughts, you are gradually tipping the scale so that you're more dominantly thinking as though you have your desire than thinking as though you do not. Now, when we say dominantly, we don't mean in the sense of total hours in the day. So if you're awake for 12 hours, you have to be thinking about your desire for 6 of those hours or more. What we mean is if you think about your desire for 2 hours, for example, we want to ensure that for at least an hour or more, you are thinking as though you have it compared to not having it. So that's what I mean by living in the end as effectively and dominantly as possible. Now, the second component is removing or negating or working through the things that are stopping you from living in the end as effectively as possible. Now, what this is it looks like handling fears that you won't get your desire, handling self-concept, core beliefs, limiting beliefs, anything, the 3D reality, talking to your friends, anything that stops you from living in the end as though you have your desire, we're going to be working to remove those. And the reason why there's those two components and anything that you will do will fit into one of them is because, like I said, it's dominancy. So let's say that we're on an even playing field with our desire. If we increase the amount of positive work that we do, that tips the balance more dominantly this way. Or if we decrease the amount of negative thoughts that we have, that tips the balance of this going down this way, which still makes it so that this is more dominant. In numbers terms, let's say you have 10 thoughts about your desire every day. 5 of them are good, end result based, and 5 of them are bad, lack of result based. If you increase the amount of thoughts that you have, let's say to 12, but those extra 2 thoughts are as though you have your desire, you now have 7 thoughts from the end and 5 thoughts from the negative, therefore still dominant in the positive. Or, subsequently, you have those 10 thoughts, 5 positive, 5 negative. If you find a way to make it so that you have less negative thoughts, let's say that you have 2 less negative thoughts a day because you've been practicing meditation or breath work or any kind of other way of handling the negatives, and you've now gone down to 8 thoughts and removing 2 from the negative, you are now in a state of 5 in the positive and 3 in the negative, which means it's still technically in a dominant state of having. So because these are the 2 components, anything that you will do will fit into either one of these categories. So it's 369 method, affirming, acting as if, SATs, scripting, All of those are additional ways to increase the thoughts that you are having as though you have your desire. Meditation, breath work, the seeds technique that I've spoken about in a couple of my other videos, which if you would like a deeper breakdown on, comment down below and I can give it to you. It's essentially a way of having the conscious mind get on your side a little bit more effectively. But breathwork, seeds, meditation, exercise, flipping the thoughts, anything like that, they are ways of reducing the amount of negatives or the impact those negatives have on you. Anything that you will do will fit into one of these two categories. So if you can keep that in mind, it kind of just sets the blueprint of how you're going to go forward much more effectively. Because if you can kind of almost bring to mind an image of a scale, anytime you're thinking thoughts and you've become aware of them, you can then kind of have that visual representation of what that thought is doing to your scale. Are you panicking and fearing? Oh shit, you're taking the negative up. How can you sit there and think, oh, well, why is it not here yet, when you're in a constant state of doubting and fearing? If you're having a positive thought and you really enjoy it and reside in it, you know that you're tipping the scale this way, therefore making it more dominant. So if you can keep this kind of scale analogy in your mind, it will make it much easier for you going forward to have an understanding as to why maybe things haven't manifested yet, or whether you could improve the amount of work that you're doing, or improve the amount of handling the negative that you've been doing, and it kind of gives you a bit of clarity. So that explains that element. But what about actually how do you manifest then? How do you actually get the desires? Well, like I said earlier in the video, your manifestation comes as a result of thinking as though you have your desire right now. Now, you probably hear online everywhere affirmations, scripting, visualization. I've listed a bunch even in this video now. They come under the category of thinking because all they're doing is structuring your thoughts. You're either having a visual thought or a spoken thought, or you're writing down your thoughts. Either way, when someone says think as though you have your desire, you can simply just think if you would like to. But if you need a little bit more structuring, that's where the techniques come into place. The techniques come into place to help you identify yourself as the person who has your end result now. But in order to do that effectively, we need to understand what you even want. So the first step, I suppose you could say, is to get clear on your end result. Get clear on what you actually want to experience. If it's a relationship, instead of just saying, I want my ex back, what do you want? Do you want love? Do you want passion? Do you want commitment, loyalty, to be shown off on social media, to meet their parents, to be short or long distance, to live together, to be married? What does it actually mean to you to have the relationship of your dreams? Get an understanding of what it is that you want, because then going forward, it will help you with your thoughts much more effectively. So once you've got a clear understanding of what kind of end result you're after, now we need to understand the thoughts that we're going to be residing in as dominantly as possible. Now, a simple way to get an understanding of this is to ask yourself, if I was living this reality right now, if I had that marriage or that job or the house or the money, how would I be thinking then? How would I be feeling then? Just a couple of examples, you could be thinking things like, I'm so happy to have this relationship, or it's so freeing to know that I have that money. How could you be feeling? It could be a case of feeling loved and adored and chosen. If it was for money, it could be a case of freedom, confidence, calm, stress-free, peace. What would you be thinking and feeling? Once you have an idea of that, you can then incorporate these into the affirmations or the visuals or the scripts if you find that you need that additional structuring. But if you don't need that, then you can just simply start thinking and feeling that way. Try to conjure up the feelings of peace, of calmness. What helps you feel peace? What helps you feel calm? Do those things and conjure up those feelings. If it's the thinking that you want to go about it, just start thinking as though you have that money. Would you be going and buying clothes? Would you be donating it? What would you be doing? Think of things that you would be doing as though you can do them right now. If you need a little bit of techniques kind of advice, if it's affirmations or anything that you do technique wise, needs to be as though it is happening right this moment. So if you're affirming for a relationship, I am, and then insert whatever it is that you want in that relationship. So an example, I am in a loving, passionate, committed relationship with insert specific person's name. If you don't have a specific person, just say, I'm in a loving, passionate, committed relationship with my dream person. We'll still create. If it's visualization, visualize yourself on a 1-year anniversary, or a date, or spending time together, telling your mum how amazing your relationship is with this person, them telling you how much they love being with you, things like that. If it's scripting, you could simply just script out a story, like a diary entry. Dear diary, today Johnny and I went out and we got ice cream and he told me he loved me and he's so happy we're together. Things like that. You're just writing or thinking or affirming or visualizing as though it is currently happening right now. And just a side note, all of these things that you see online, like the 369 method, the 555 method, all of those kind of things, the water in a cup method, they are all just different ways of doing these techniques that I've just said now. They're not necessarily separate, they're just different ways of going about it. But once you've got clear on the result, step 1, and then you've got clear on how that version of you would be thinking and feeling, step 2, now start thinking, feeling, and acting in that way. Now, the reason why I left off acting in the explanation is because the acting element is essentially more acting as if. So I don't necessarily mean in a sense of if you would be with your person, you'd be texting them, so now go and blow up their phone texting them. But act as if you are, if you wanted to. Pick up your phone, pretend you're about to text them, put it down. Or as you're walking through the street, walk with your chest held high because you're in the best relationship of your life. Act as though you are that person, kind of in a persona basis. It doesn't mean you have to go and extend as far as, if I had money, I'd go on holidays, so let me book 10 holidays. Or if I was with this person, I would be texting him all day, so now you start texting him all day. The element of thinking as though you can do that is enough. Then the acting as if would come in a basis of kind of just taking on that persona. And you're going to want to do this as consistently and dominantly as possible. Remember that scale. The more that you think from the end result, the more you're tipping the balance toward your end result. You're going to want to do this until it comes in. I know many people out there say, you know, once you feel it's done, then you don't have to do anything. And while technically, yes, that's true because you have that element of done, it's the story that's you've got going on inside. I personally like the reassurance to say that it's done because I've continued to do it. And even Neville Goddard, which I don't reference that often on this channel, but even Neville Goddard himself says persist until it hardens into fact. So you may as well just keep going until it's here, keep living in the end, and keep enjoying what it is that you're doing. Now, onto the flip side of it, because that's obviously how to tip the balance to be in the end result. On the flip side of it, the negatives. You're human, I'm human, most of us are human. There might be a few lizard people out there. We're still trying to kind of wait to see if that's confirmed. But we have bad days, we have bad moments, we have shit that happens in the 3D, we have negative thoughts. You are never going to be a perfect specimen that has only positive thoughts. Your scale is going to be constantly, trying to fight itself. The more positive work you do, the more you will go up, but your negatives will still try and hang in the balance a little bit. What you're going to want to do is find a way to move past them. A very good technique whenever anything negative happens is simple breath work. The reason being, it calms us down, it clears our mind, it stops us from immediately reacting and exploding, and gives us the opportunity to think about what we would rather do. In that instance, bringing to mind the scale and thinking, would I rather have this spiral go on and tip the balance towards not having what I want, or would I rather take some time for me and then go back into affirmations and tip the balance towards what I do want? So breathwork is an extremely effective tool that you can make use of to just calm yourself down in the moment. However, one of the best ways to ensure that you are definitely tipping the scale towards what you want is whenever you have a negative thought, or you notice it, or you're having a spiral or anything like that, once you've calmed yourself down and allowed yourself the sort of time to process things, jump back on to the positive work, the affirmations, the visualizations, and such things like that. This is referred to as flipping the thoughts. The reason being, let's say it was based on a quantity of thoughts. If you have one negative thought and you flip it to a positive, you're still having the equal amount of positive thoughts to negatives. Which means with the conscious work that you're doing when you do your structured affirmations or things like that, you're going to be slowly tipping the balance. And if you have a negative thought, you then have a positive and keep that balance tipped. This is, like I said, known as flipping the thoughts, and can be an extremely effective way to ensure that you are just keeping on top of your end result more than the negative. However, what I do recommend is finding an effective and healthy way to deal with negatives if and when they come, because the negatives are merely a projection of old thoughts, feelings, and actions that are playing out now. So therefore, they actually mean nothing in terms of your manifestation. But if you allow them to mean something to you, that will affect your manifestation going forward, because where your focus goes, energy flows. Like I said, what you think passes on to your subconscious mind, which it gets to work pushing out. If you're thinking about how everything's awful and how there's no texting and how there's no XYZ thing, that is going to continue to create for you. So instead, what you want to do is find a way to remove that as effectively and efficiently as possible, and then jump back onto your end result, because that's what's going to create that end result. So just a small recap, your thoughts create your reality, so you're going to want to start thinking as though you are in the reality that you're experiencing right now. To do that, get clear on what it is that you actually want to experience, and then get clear on what that version of you would think, feel, and act like, and then start trying to think, feel, and act in that way as dominantly as possible. Remember in your mind to scale and consider at any given moment whether or not you are tipping the scale towards what you want or towards what you don't want. And then find an effective and healthy manner in dealing with those negative thoughts so they don't keep coming up, or if they do, you're not giving them the power to create over you. That is how you manifest. Now there is the element of self-concept. And self-concept is essentially what you see about you and what you assume to be true about you. Often this is also coupled with core beliefs and limiting beliefs, which is something that is worth working toward. So as a final note, what I will say is ask yourself this question: what do I see about me, or what do I assume about my life that is benefiting or negatively impacting my situation or my manifestation? If you can understand those stories, you can then utilize the same principles that I spoke about with the living in the end and the acting as if, but in regards to your self-concept issues. So if you have a self-concept issue of, I can't get person because I'm not good enough, create an affirmation that details that you're always good enough. I recommend saying I have always been good enough, just because it kind of revises the past a little bit. Think about it as consistently as possible. Anytime a negative thought about you not being good enough comes up, find a way to handle it. Act as though you're more than good enough, feel as though you're more than good enough, think as though you're more than good enough. If you ever need any help, one thing that's good is to just take note of what people that are extremely confident and self-assured do and try to emulate those. However, I have tons of stuff on my membership if you need additional help, like core belief sheets, self-concept sheets, and even routines that will help you with your manifestation. So if you're interested in grabbing those things for an extremely cheap price, down below in the comment section and the description is the link to my membership and to my website, where I also offer one-to-one coaching. So after this, or once you've clicked off here, have a little check out of those things, see if there's anything that you like that will help you with your manifestation journey, and grab it while you can. Thank you all so much for watching this video today, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye bye.